So some of the things I learned along the way of building BlockJoy, number one has to be that Web 2 technologies does not work for Web 3 infrastructure. When we started, we tried, it was super expensive, we had all kinds of performance issues, and that is really what forced us to build something from the ground up. Number two, I think it kind of surprised me, but there's just an endless number of blockchains coming up. Even in a bull or bear market, you'll see blockchains being started. And a lot of this has to do with Ethereum and the high gas fees. And so what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of L2 chains come out, or layer 2 chains, which are very much like app chains. It's unclear like what types of chains are going to exist in the end. But I do think that we're seeing a lot of stuff that I would qualify as sort of an app chain or more of a horizontal style chain. And these are like the L2s, and we see some with Near, which has like a clustering solution. And so I think that we're going to see a lot of chains that come out that are designed for a specific application, roll up all the data, and then settle all the transactions onto another chain like Ethereum. Another thing that we see along the space is that either people love crypto or they completely hate crypto. And so recruiting talent can also be a challenge. Some engineers enjoy crypto and think it's, the future, and they look at it more like the Web3 aspect. And then other people just think it's a total scam. And of course, there's a lot of reason to think it's a scam because there's been all kinds of scams in the space. And I think that's a challenge, but I think what we have to do as a company and what we've been doing is really talk about the vision of removing the intermediary. I think it's a lot of people don't realize that Web3 is a lot more like Web 1 than anything else. And it's really about removing these big companies that are making a profit off of both ends of the data, buying the data, selling the data. And so it's really important as a blockchain company to sort of instill the vision that you feel like Web3 is bringing to the world, as opposed to get rich crypto sort of bro scam thing. Another thing that we learned along the way is that various blockchains are hard to run and some are easier to run. And because the space is innovating so fast, we're seeing a lot of new chains come up. They're pretty unstable in the beginning. And some of these old chains that just sort of get hit with all kinds of heavy transaction throughput start to crumble. So we're still early in the innovation cycle. And that means that, again, chains can be very difficult to run and keep running. They take a lot of attention. And then other chains, work pretty good. The other thing that we're sort of curious about is what chains are going to exist. Like, I think we're going to see over this next 5 years, we're going to see chains that kind of get abandoned and other chains that come out of left field and grow to be very popular. And so it's so early in the cycle that it really is hard to tell who's going to win and who's going to lose, but there are going to be winners and there are going to be losers. I think the other thing that we've learned along the way is that it's so early in the cycle of blockchains that the user experience is paying a hefty price. It's very hard for people to understand what a wallet is. Many times, some people have a very difficult time setting up and running a wallet. And the same applies to running nodes. Again, a lot of the protocols that come out are kind of still using Web 2 examples, and that includes Docker and Kubernetes and some of these other tools that aren't well suited for Web 3. And so the user experience is something that needs a lot of work, and hopefully over time we'll focus more on that and we'll see some of these things become a lot easier to run, including wallets, apps, and even nodes. Lastly, and probably one of the most important things that we learned is that decentralization doesn't necessarily mean decentralization today. We see tons of Ethereum nodes running on Amazon cloud. We see a lot of things consolidated in cloud, and that's really not the spirit of blockchains and crypto in general. The idea is that the networks are decentralized, diversified, distributed around the globe, and that makes a more resilient network. And to see 60% of Ethereum nodes running in AWS, it's probably not a good thing. And so we're hoping that by simplifying the tools, like BlockJoy has done, this enables people to run blockchain nodes anywhere in the world on their own infrastructure or on third-party infrastructure and really continue to diversify the network.